Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I wanna take the beginning of this episode to say that it's weird to talk about video games right now.
Yeah.
I think that as y'all listeners can know or tell, like, we are from the U.S. and shit's bad here. Shit's really bad here. And I really do try to divorce like political talk from the podcast, because I know that a lot of people listen to podcasts because they want it to be an escape, right? They want it to be an distraction. But I think what is going on in the U.S. right now, I understand wanting distractions, but don't let yourself be distracted from what is happening in Minnesota right now. What's happening like all around our country. There's other things that are happening, similar related stories that just aren't being picked up by major media, that this is happening like in several major cities around the country.
Yep.
And we're literally seeing people be executed on the streets by a masked secret police enforcement. And it's one of those things where I don't know how you could go through school here in America, learn about both our country's history when it comes to like Civil Rights Act, Jim Crow, like Rodney King beatings, and as well as world history of like World War II, Holocaust, like type shit, and not think that those are not the bad guys. Like I just don't see whatever reality you're in is not the real world. If you're someone listening to this podcast that feels that way, like you are living in a fantasy, and I don't want, if there's a rare case where you are one of those people listening to this podcast, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. Go listen to a different podcast. I don't think anyone listening to this podcast feels that way. But I just need to be clear that where we stand on this issue, and really disgusting, vile things are happening to U.S. citizens who are exercising their First and Second Amendment rights in this country. And it's I felt a responsibility, regardless of like how we like want this podcast to be, again, an escape, to talk about this stuff really quickly. And I hope you understand. We hope you understand. We're gonna have a link to donate to the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee for anyone that wants to throw any bucks that way. We'd really appreciate it. But again, this is happening all around the country. So,
yep.
I just wanted to take some time to recognize that, because it's incredibly important. And I can't sit by. I can't. We have a platform. We got to do some. We got to do something with it. I'm not going to be. What's the word I'm looking for? Starts with a C, but I can't think of it right now. But I'm not gonna sit by. Yes, I'm not gonna be complicit. I'm not gonna be complicit with what's complacent with what's going on in America right now. So there's that. That being said, I had a pretty good weekend. I went down to LA. I got to go see Twice at the Forum. That was crazy. Like, that was like I've gone to a lot of concerts, K-pop concerts specifically, Most of them not in as big as arenas or stadiums. I've only seen one stadium show, which was twice at SoFi a few years ago, and then I saw ITZY at the Forum as well a couple of years ago. Everywhere else I've gone has been like somewhere around the size of like a theater or an auditorium. And so like that was the best produced K-pop concert I've ever seen. Like the production value was off the charts. Very, very cool. Really, really great time. And then got to see you for like literally 30
5
seconds.
Did a quick card handoff.
Yeah, I did a quick card handoff. But got to see you for a second, which was cool. And then I got invited by Atlas. Thank you, Atlas. To go to the Persona Live Awakening concert at the Dolby Theater. That was very, very, very cool. Got to hear most of the notable Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Royal songs live. They also did some Persona 5 X, which was surprising. Not super surprising, but like, you know.
Yeah, it's like I get it, but it's also like that's not why most of us are here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not looking to celebrate the Subway Slammer right now. Like, we're not. Play the hits. What are we doing?
Yeah, they played the hits. The only song from Persona 5 Royal that I feel like I was like surprised that they didn't perform, or Lynn didn't perform, was Whims of Fate. The Casino Palace theme. Yeah. No Whims of Fate, which was wild. And then no Strikers recognition whatsoever. Like not even showing characters from Strikers. So it's just like,
right.
Damn it. I want what you wish for.
It's funny when you think about it too, because from like not that this actually matters in any kind of real way, but Strikers is the more canonical game between it and Royal. Like if you're gonna go with like what one is official timeline or whatever, it's I mean all this is made up, but funny stuff.
Yeah.
How long was the total runtime for the show?
It was like I would say like it was just at 2 hours or a little over 2 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
And it went by fast for 2 hours, I would say. But yeah, it was cool. They had like dancers that came out dressed as the characters.
Yeah, I saw something about Igus doing a cartwheel or a flip.
Oh, okay. So there's a single song for each game where it's just the dancers, and then like not like a hologram, but like a
projection,
a projectiontron of Joker and Igus. Like those were the two characters. So like Igus was just like doing the same choreography as the dancers, I guess. And then at some point Igus does a backflip, I guess. But yeah, it was a really good time. I got this shirt, which is cool. They had some other neat merch that I did not have the money to afford. I actually bought the Morgana and Koromaru pin where they're like sitting on an airplane and there's like a flag that says Los Angeles. I think I immediately lost it. I don't know where it is. I'm like, I'm so sad.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't know where it is. I thought it was in my pocket. I don't know. But yeah, it was a fun trip. And so, yeah. Oh, I have a question for you. This is where it goes on the weird tangent here.
Okay.
I felt like I was being gaslit the other night. And don't worry. I told this person that I'm going to talk shit about them on the podcast. They know what's happening. Okay. So I was staying with my friend George Yang. He was he is like freelance extraordinaire. Like he has bylines everywhere. I don't know how he does it. And we went to get ramen before the concert. And I am a big purveyor of ramen.
Mm-hmm.
And we eat at this place, and we get our ramen, I start eating it, and I realize that I'm not a big fan of it.
Okay. That happens.
Right? Yeah. And so I stop eating it like probably halfway through. And George was like, "Why aren't you eating your food?" And he's like, his voice was carrying a bit, and I was just like, I'm not a big fan of it. And he's just like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, I'm not a big fan of it. And the place was really nice. I'm not going to say the name of the place, but like,
Sure.
setting wise, gorgeous. Loved it. Great environment, atmosphere, all that stuff. For those that care about that stuff. But the food, I was just like, And so once we like pay and go outside, I explained to him, I was like, yeah, I did not like that ramen very much. And he's just like, he literally says, all ramen tastes the same. Dude, I know. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, all tastes the same. All tastes the same. It's like, because like, when I say like, hey, let's go get food, I'm like, hey, can we get ramen? You react in a way where it's just like, oh yeah, Cameron likes ramen, like, that's fine. George, on the other hand, like reacts in a way of like, why do you want ramen all the time? If that makes sense.
Sure.
And learning this information from him, I'm like, this makes so much sense now. It makes so much sense why you get upset when I want ramen all the time, because you think it tastes the same. And I was like, dog, I could take you to my favorite spot in Reno. It tastes nothing like that. Because I always get the same. I like get spicy tonkatsu. That's like my thing. Night and day difference. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and I mean also just like, I feel like I need more clarification from him on what he means by all ramen tastes the same. Because it's like
if he had tonkatsu,
types.
yeah, like if he had like tonkatsu at different restaurants, he'd think it all would taste the same.
I mean, like, certainly similar, because they're using the same base, but, like, yeah, there's different toppings, and people make broths differently. So, like, even if you're getting, like, tonkotsu at multiple places, like, it's going to taste a little different. Like, it might be generally creamy, savory, but, like...
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah. I mean,
it was mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are definitely dismissive of, because I remember I worked with a guy who was very much just like, I'm not paying, which he's not entirely wrong here, but he's like, I'm not going to go somewhere to pay $18 for soup, and I'm like, it's not just soup.
Yeah,
like it is, but that's not. But yeah, there is this like dismissive air sometimes to like, yeah, like it's this thing, it's going to taste like this, and it's like, no, there's differences and there's variety, and like absolutely different places can make different quality levels.
So it's interesting because my roommate, I told my roommate about it. He is a trained cook. He doesn't like do it for a living, but he can cook. He's like, oh, he's one of those eats to live type people.
Sure.
Where like, because he says that like, because he downed his ramen, and he said that like, oh, I would need like at least one more bowl, probably two to be completely full. And I was just like, I'm 6'4", 250 pounds. Like one bowl of ramen is like perfectly good for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so like, and George is like an average height, on the somewhat shorter end of average height individual, like slim individual. I'm like, how the fuck you eating all how are you scarfing that down, dude? But yeah, it was I was like, you were crazy for this.
Yeah, I mean, like, the East to Live thing is definitely like a viewpoint where it's, you just don't care about that as much. And if anything, like, I think when you have that viewpoint, it's almost more so like, that also explains the almost, like, why are you not eating your food? Because in that mind, it's like, you paid money for this. Like, get your calories. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, who cares if you don't like it as much? Like, eat your food.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So I can understand, like, especially coming from that viewpoint, why having that reaction. But yeah, I mean, it's a different way of being wired, man. I don't think that's the way about food. Yeah.
That is a level of wiring that I just cannot understand, like even remotely. That we've talked about like how our brain is wired for like whether it be like with Magic, how you don't care about foil cards or like
remotely.
Yeah, or like in video games, certain JRPG things that you care about that I'm just like, or that you like that I'm like, my brain's not wired like that. This is a whole nother level. But anyway, we're gonna get into some housekeeping for this week. If you've been enjoying the show, please go to your podcast service of choice, give us a 5-star review, as well as go to youtube.com/@partychatjrpgpod. Hit the subscribe button over there. We do have both YouTube membership and Patreon subscriptions for $5. You get the episode a day early, bonus monthly episode, as well as our Campfire catalog, which is our book club podcast. Lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson. Hit the subscribe button over there. And now we're going to get into the news for this week.
Quite a bit of it.
A lot of news this week. Some
we can like kind of speed through, but there's been a lot of stuff dropping the last, like, really just the last 48 hours, I feel.
Yeah. Yep. A lot. First and foremost, we're going to go back from our story a couple of weeks ago about the developer direct that happened. We got a more in-depth look at Beast of Reincarnation from Game Freak. We have learned that it's going to launch on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox Game Pass, and Steam this summer. There is some new details that were just written up from Xbox Wire that I want to share. It's a little bit of text, so bear with me here. The protagonists of the story, Emma and Ku, meet in a land to the east. Emma was born afflicted by blight, which was granted her the power to manipulate plants. Void of both memory and emotion, Emma is shunned and feared by those around her, living in a life of total isolation. Ku, on the other hand, is what's known as a malefact, a creature that poses a dire threat to this world. Emma bears the burden of a sealer, a role that requires her to hunt these malefacts and absorb their blight into her own body. Though their existences should be fundamentally incompatible, the wheels of fate begin to turn when Emma and Ku cross paths. Eventually, their journey takes them to the far west, where they must confront the Beast of Reincarnation, the source of all blight. In this world, the influence of blight can cause the environment to shift abruptly, transforming the landscape into a dense, overgrown forest. These blighted forests are generated by the giant malefacts known as Nushi. Emma and Ku must fight their way through these forests and the malefacts to take down the Nushi. To ultimately defeat the Beast of Reincarnation, Emma and Ku have to absorb the Nushi's immense power and acquire their respective skills. Beast of Reincarnation is a one-person, one-dog action RPG. That is what they are.
Yeah, they're branding it as.
That's what they're branding it as. The gameplay blends two styles. The protagonist, Emma, fights using fast-paced katana action, while Ku supports her with powerful skills triggered via a command-based system similar to a turn-based RPG. In this game, you don't have to rely on raw action skills alone to survive. By performing a parry against enemy attacks with Emma, you earn points that can be used to unleash Ku's abilities. You can open Ku's command menu at any time, and Ku possesses a wide range of skills designed to handle a variety of combat situations. Whenever you're in a pinch, Ku is always there for you. While you are selecting Ku's skill from the menu, combat slows down. This gives you the breathing room to assess the battlefield and strategize your comeback. We placed a high priority on the sense of tempo. Rather than forcing players to rely solely on split-second reflexes in high-pressure situations, we wanted to create moments where you can pause, think carefully, and fight with the tactical mindset of a command-based RPG. Further, the game features 3 difficulty settings. In addition to the standard normal mode, we have included a highly challenging hard mode as well as the story mode. In story mode, the parry timing is more forgiving and enemy damage is reduced. To add even more depth to combat, you can equip items called Spirit Stones. These stones grant various effects based on your actions during battle. You can also find new katanas for Emma and charms for Ku through exploration, each providing unique specialized bonuses. By combining these elements, players can build and customize their own unique combat style. When it comes to story stuff, it says both Emma and Ku carry a heavy secret. Throughout the game, they will cross paths with allies who offer their support, who are also bound by their great secrets. These mysteries intertwine with Emma and Ku's journey, adding color and depth to the multi-layered story. There's still so much more we want to show you, but there is one thing in particular I want everyone to remember. It is a vital rule concerning this world. Never look up at the sky. An ancient legend of this world warns that something is floating up there, but please, for your own sake, do not try to see it for yourselves.
First thing I'm doing when I boot the game up.
Yeah, I was
looking up. Hit me with that game over.
So yeah, we got a good look at this game a few days ago. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly am more interested than I was before, primarily just because, like, the first time they revealed it, we didn't really get a great sense of what type of game it was going to be yet. Like, we knew it was going to be action, but, like, that can mean so many things. I saw some people wondering if it was going to be, kind of Monster Hunter-ish, if it was going to be, like, a Souls-like, if it was going to be, insert whatever popular style of action game here. Lots of questions. And what we've ended up getting is something that, somewhat unique. I would say visually it gives me kind of vibes of the action elements alone are somewhat like Stellar Blade or Nier, where there's like a little bit of that Souls influence. You got your parries and such, but it's not really like leaning into that style of play. It's faster, not as breakneck as like a character action game like Devil May Cry, but like you're splitting that difference more. And then I think the really interesting thing to a lot of people, right, is the coup special abilities, which kind of feels like Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth, where you have a gauge that gives you abilities you can use, and that brings in that kind of turn-based vibe where I'm going to slow the action down for a minute and pick my move. And the moves are more than just like, great, you did a lot of damage, congratulations. There are things like status effects. Like one of the ones they showed off is using a coup ability that like rooted enemies in place. So very kind of interesting mix of like, yes, you have these action elements, but then you do have these special powers that are going to break up the combat a bit, and it's not just raw character action focus.
Yeah, I really loved the mixture of gameplay. It just feels, obviously it has the inspiration from the remake games, but it's just it still feels like refreshing in a way that we
For sure.
like haven't gotten in a while. And I just, I just want to play it at this point. It's just like I've seen enough. Give me it.
Yep, just release it, make it happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I know they aren't really within the purview of what we want to focus on in the show, but like I thought overall, all 4 games they showed off, like solid stuff. There's always that difference between like what we see ahead of time versus what final product actually looks and feels like to play. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the slices we saw of everything was like real solid at that show.
Yeah, everything was interesting. Forza Horizon was Forza. Fable, like, I still, like, obviously I'm going to play it because I love Fable, but I'm cautious on some things, and I think that is just I need to play the game to really,
at the end of the day, absolutely.
Feel how I'm going to feel on that. And then, Beast of Reincarnation is something that I'm definitely a lot more excited about. I'm definitely like gonna hopefully get to play that day one. Hopefully we get to review it and see what happens there. But yeah, very excited about Beast of Reincarnation.
I will say the one thing that was funny to me was how many times they mentioned Pokemon during that presentation. Yes. Mostly in the sense of like, hey, we swear we do other stuff. Like, yes, we are that team that makes mainline Pokemon games, but also we do this. But then they also have lines where it's like, yeah, because we've done Pokemon for so long, we've messed with this idea, but now we want to do this. It's just a lot of like, yes, we're that Pokemon team. Anyways, look, please. Other things.
Kevin.
What's up?
It seems like it's finally happening. Resident Evil Code Veronica is getting a remake. And it's seemingly going to be coming out this year?
Sooner than later.
Or at least a first look?
At least a reveal this year, I think, is what the rumor is, yeah.
Yeah, so a notable Resident Evil leaker, Dusk Golem, shared online that no, there is not a Resident Evil 5 remake that's going to be announced this year. Instead, later this year, RE remake that starts with C and ends with Ode Veronica is going to be announced. I promise you.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, I feel like this is the one that people have wanted for a long time.
It's definitely a big one because Code Veronica was kind of the last one that was still the older style gameplay before they made the transition into the over the shoulder that we got with 4. And so there's a lot of people who love Code Veronica. Like, a lot of people would push that it's like the best one of that era. Even though, of course, there's a lot of fans of like 2 back in the day and such. But excellent game that, you know, especially after seeing the remake treatment that we got for 2 and 3, it's like, cool, like, now you're gonna do Code Veronica, right? And then we got 4 remake, which, like, great game. I don't know if it needed a remake, but it was a great game. And, you know, that kind of left a...
We just thought it would go in order.
Sure. Well, or, you know, if that was a sign that they just weren't going to at all, right? Like, are we just not acknowledging that game at this point? Are we just, you know, marching down the numbers? I think this also gives hope to some people that were maybe hoping maybe like 0 could get a similar treatment at some point. I know some people want 1 to get remade again, because, you know, 1 did get remade, but it still kept the fixed camera angle style from back in the day. So it certainly opens that door of like, hey, they're not just marching in number order, like there are other games they're messing with maybe, so we'll see what else they touch on. But I love the original Code Veronica. I'm very excited that it's getting this treatment finally, if this is true. Obviously this is not an official thing, it's a rumor, a leak, whatever, but man, do I want it to be real.
I want that for you.
I want it for me.
Yeah, no, I want it for you, so hopefully it happens. Over the weekend, there was it's technically called a direct on the Super Mario Galaxy movie, where we got a new trailer that debuted Yoshi for the first time. Kevin, after watching the trailer, temperature recheck in, has it changed at all? Are you more excited? Are you less excited? Or
I mean, I would say no adjustment for me, but that's because I'm coming from a standpoint of like, I didn't care that much about the first one, and I'm not particularly... I'm like, look, I'm going to see it. I'm going to check it out at some point. I hope it's good. I hope I like it more. I didn't really care for the direction or design of the first one, and outside of maybe having a little more time with certain characters in this one, like, I love Mia Yoshi. It looks like Luigi's going to have more screen time. I'm down to see more. I will say it was interesting to see some of how wide the references were in this trailer, and I know that's something that I've even seen some people be a little like unsure about, because it's called Mario Galaxy, but this news trailer really didn't show much Galaxy stuff. It showed Odyssey stuff. It showed Super Mario Brothers 3 stuff, or 2 stuff. We saw a little bit of 3 as well. They had the frog suit. Like there's all these references to other Mario stuff, and like not really much Galaxy, which at the end of the day, you know, I prefer when trailers don't show me everything. So it could just be that we just have a lot of other references knocked out in the first 20-30 minutes, and then it's Galaxy from then on. But it is interesting how many different games that this like one trailer tapped on.
Yeah. My big thing is that, like, from everything that we saw in that last trailer, it doesn't really feel like that they're in space.
Right.
Doesn't really feel like a galaxy setting.
Yeah, but that's even what I'm saying, right? Like, I feel like that could just be not shown yet. Like,
yeah, but like, I don't know. I just felt like that we saw a lot of different scenes in that trailer that didn't show us any. I'm like, how often are we in this space, right? Like, how often in this movie that you're titling Galaxy are we actually going to be there? Sure. That's like something that I'm curious about. One thing that I know a lot of people are talking about too is the voice of Yoshi. Like, it sounded different than normal, and people are wondering if it's like the same voice actor or if they like actually got someone like Hollywood related to voice him. But sure, I feel like if that was the case, we would have known about it. Like, we would have learned that then.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be that they're making it a surprise of like who they're featuring as the voice of him. It could be that they didn't tap the shoulder of whoever traditionally does it, but did tap maybe the shoulder of a, you know, fairly traditional voice actor. I mean, who's the one voice actor that does literally every animal noise in everything?
I know D. Bradley Baker. Yeah,
D. Bradley Baker. Like, for all we know, they tapped his shoulder. Like, it could be any number of things, right? Like,
I'm just imagining that. Hey, D. Bradley Baker, you want to voice Yoshi?
Why not? Is it that out of the realm for him? Yeah,
I mean,
but like,
not.
I do get it though that it doesn't sound the same. It could be just different recording, different style, voice direction, whatever. Like there's all kinds of possibilities with that. It is interesting that we don't know the casting at all, though, for sure.
Yeah. Also worth noting, they moved the release date up a couple of days. It was going to release on April 3rd and is now releasing on April 1st.
Which is hilarious.
Yep. So we'll see. I'm curious as to why that is. April 1st is a Wednesday. It's not a holiday weekend. Very interesting choice. Maybe they just really want to go big. Because, I mean, the first movie's like the 5th best-selling film of all time or something like that. Like,
yeah.
It
made its money. And, I've no clue why they would have done that change. Maybe they just liked the numbering of being able to say it's on the 1st. Couldn't tell you.
Makes it nice and easy. Like a Dragon executive producer Yokoyama says that he treats each new entry like it could be its last. This was in an article with Automaton Media, where he says, quote, "As an example, I haven't thought about what happens to Ichiban Kasuga in the future yet after the events of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii," end quote. Boy, does this make sense.
Look, I will say, Yokoyama says a lot of stuff that bothers the hell out of me. I have my opinions about his tenure of leadership. I will say this particular one, I don't find that egregious because I think this has kind of always been a little true. Every Yakuza game is kind of its own thing, and there's never really been a sense of like, oh, they're setting up continuity where this is going to matter 2 games later, or like maybe we're like, no, this shit has always been, they kind of make it up with each game and end it the way they're going to end it. Which is also why so often the openings of these games are like weird soft resets where they're like, by the way, we're going to explain why this person left, this person's no longer around. We don't even talk about this guy. It's just its own thing this time around. And like, in retrospect, it has formed an overarching story kind of, but there's never really been that much forward planning with these games.
Okay. I agree with you. But I also feel like a lot of the things that you mentioned, while they do suck, I just don't think that they're like... at the end of the day, for lack of a better phrase, it matters in a way where, like... Because Kiryu is just, like, such a... He's such a, like... he's a character in such a way where, like, you don't really need to have this ongoing particular arc with him throughout all these different games. Sure. Where you can just kind of like do like these kind of check-ins scenarios with him, and it's just like, oh, he's just chilling being Kiryu because he's just, he's pretty unproblematic, and he very much kind of keeps to himself a lot of the time. And then it like creates a scenario where like, and then they begin a scenario for him, right? With Ichiban, I just feel like that there's that they're trying to kind of they're trying to go a different route with Ichiban.
I mean, I feel like the route they're going with Ichiban is they're trying to make him not as important anymore so we can get back to the Kiryu show. Like,
but that was like that's one of the criticisms, right? It's just like, is that Ichiban like felt like it was like this character that would have like this more overarching story throughout multiple games, and this is honestly like, sure, they're specifically mentioning Ichiban here. I don't believe that they know what they were doing in general after Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that one thing that is frustrating about using this line within the context of like how Yakuza has been lately is that the fact that like seemingly there are more seeds being planted for future hintings that we traditionally didn't have in past games. The ending of, Pirate Yakuza was very heavily ham-fisting, like, this is kind of where we're going to go next game, maybe. Infinite Wealth, similarly, with, there was kind of the baiting of what's going to happen with Kiryu, and then we see how that ends. And, again, they're not letting this man sleep anytime soon. They're going to be doing it as long as Kuroda's around to do it at this rate. This is basically Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like, we're just until he's 102, they're gonna drag him out so we can be able to make another thing featuring this character.
Yeah.
But it is odd to have this concept of like, we don't really plan where this is going to go in the future, and yet we're seeing more active attempts in these more recent games to like lay seeds for things. And it's like, well, why are you laying seeds for things if you don't actually even know what you're laying seeds for?
Yeah, and it's so interesting too because like everything else that they do is so good. Like the characters, especially in like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth, so good. And but then like the overarching stuff like that, like what I'm particularly showing up for in a Yakuza game, especially like for Infinite Wealth, right? Where they very much pitched like this is Kiryu's kind of last game. And then it's like it's not.
And then it goes the direction it does, yeah.
Yeah, it goes in the direction it goes, and it's probably not. It's just like, I don't know, dog. Like, I want a little bit of vision here on where you're wanting to go with this, because like, it's just it felt like such a curtain call for Kiryu, and
yeah,
and then it's not.
Yeah, look, I have so many rants I can go on about the general direction of the series right now. I think the simplest... I forget if I've brought up this point before, but it's one of my long-standing beliefs about the writing style of Yokoyama is that I think Yokoyama has very specific scene ideas that he wants to have, and they're generally good. Like, I think he has some really great specific climactic scenes in mind. But then outside of that, the man is just finding his best way to stumble through and copy and paste whatever he can together to get those scenes together. Because, like, again, there are some individual moments in Infinite Wealth that are incredible. Near-end moments of Man Who Raised His Name. Fantastic. But boy, is a lot of the surrounding structure and other payoffs and other things dealing with that not good. And it's just, it's headache-inducing. And we'll see what happens with, Kiwami 3 being a remake. We'll probably end up seeing some either changes or new plot being added with whatever they're doing. And then whatever the next game ends up being within Like a Dragon, at least. Like, we know Stranger Than Heaven's coming out as well, and we have no idea if that's going to tie in any kind of meaningful way other than same general setting in a different year. But yeah, man, I don't know. I joined this franchise right at the position change, and I did all this catch up playing the older stuff, and it's not nostalgia because I wasn't playing it when it was originally releasing. There absolutely is like a difference between kind of the pre and post Nagoshi eras, and I don't know if I like where post has been going, but
yeah,
I
don't know. I think it is too. I do, in benefit of the doubt, I think it is too early to tell. Because like with Man Who Erased His Name, the outside of the ending, like that game was about what I expected it to be. Like,
sure,
as like this kind of prologue to Infinite Wealth, and then Infinite Wealth, like, admittedly, very high expectations, that were mainly not met. But like, it's only been that one game. Like in Pirate Yakuza, it just feels like such an anomaly, right? It's like it's really only been that one game, at least just speaking for myself, that I feel like I can truly judge everything by. That like I think that the next like proper like new story entry is going to be very telling. That is going to be like the key factor for me, where it's just like, okay, like I worried for nothing. Infinite Wealth was just a stumble. And we're getting back on track, or like, nope, this is just how it is now, and that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I also have a lot of opinions based on what was in Pirate Yakuza and how that was all handled. But I agree, Infinite Wealth is the largest one to look towards as far as like what another mainline could be like. But I do think there are trends we're seeing across some of these later releases, how they're being handled, and again, like, yeah, benefit of the doubt. I would love for it to get better. I love this franchise. I do think it's very, very funny to think about what the landscape is going to look like within the next like 3 to 4 years, where we get maybe 2 or 3 more releases under their belt because they're trying to do yearly, and then King of Dragon drops, and it's like, what is that kind of comparison and vibe? Because King of Dragon is obviously not going for the exact same vibe. It's definitely a more brutal looking game from the looks of it. We got a lot more just straight up on screen death, and people have no qualms about using guns in a more realistic way. Because you can use guns in some Yakuza games, but they don't really matter for the most part. It's just spam and you do some damage. We see a guy get shot in the head in the King of Dragon trailer. So I'm very curious how having these IPs side by side at some point is going to feel.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, is getting a exclusive direct on January 29th. So the day that this this episode drops publicly, it'll already be out. So that is not, we don't play there. So
I'm gonna watch it. I mean, I'm keeping up with stuff, and my wife was really into Tomodachi Life. The closest I've really done is it's not the same series, but I think it's at least somewhat similar in vein, is Miitopia. I did play some of the Miitopia stuff. But I know Tomodachi Life is different, and I've seen other people play it, and I know stuff about it. I'm curious to see. I'm excited for the Tomodachi sickos that they're getting a brand new game, and hopefully we see some cool stuff on Thursday.
I hope the best for y'all. We'll talk about it. You will report back to us next week.
Yeah, we'll talk next week.
The rest is quickies for the week. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and Meetup at Bella Bell Park is releasing on March 26th, and there are 3 amiibos coming out alongside it. We have Elephant Mario, Poplin and Princess Florian, and Captain Toad and Talking Flower. They're going to sell for $24.99 each. And then there is also the Talking Flower figure, or like, is that what you want to call it? That is coming out on March 12th. And that is going to sell for, I believe, $34.99, if I remember correctly.
I am very curious how amiibo prices are going to maintain and fluctuate, because we've already seen a few sales happen for ridiculously cheaper that aren't permanent price drops, but still, how often are we going to see those kind of numbers happen? Because I partially get why they've made them as expensive as they have. I think they're trying to outweigh costs that have grown elsewhere, but man, is it getting harder and harder, I think, for some people to justify picking up an amiibo when we're looking at, 25 as a starting price in a lot of cases, and going higher for specialty collaboration type stuff.
Yeah, one thing that's worth mentioning for those specifically is that those are apparently bigger than regular sized amiibos, your average sized amiibo. So that's something, right? Like, that's something there.
Yeah, there's more plastic.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm not like a hardcore amiibo head. Like, at this point, I do really want to like collect all the Metroid ones. My main issue is just that the Samus Return one is just like, because they did reprint the Metroid one.
Yes.
So that's huge. That's huge, because that's like
little squishy boy.
$200+ amiibo that's now regular price.
Yep.
But the other one from Samus Returns, which is arguably the most boring one, but still
it's
is
just Samus hanging out?
Just not available. And so it's like, again, $200+, and it's like, okay, well, so I kind of am in this mindset where, like, I'm probably gonna wait for the Metroid Prime 4 ones to just get like dirt cheap and then scoop them then.
Yeah.
And then, like, outside of that, it's really just like Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. If Fire Emblem Xenoblade amiibos drop, like, got them, because I have all the Xenoblade ones, I have all the Fire Emblem ones. So
yeah,
that is not going to change.
Fire Emblem is definitely the main one I'm trying to keep up with. I was up to date on Zelda for a while, but I didn't pick up the newest set of ones that came with, like, when Switch 2 or whatever the last drop was, where they added a bunch of the champions. I didn't grab one of those ones, but I have all the other ones otherwise, and then Fire Emblem I'm up to date as well. Xenoblade I have some. I don't have Shulk. I've got Pyra and Mithra.
Do you have Mio and Noah? Noah and Mio?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay. Yeah, because I have my collection's a little weird. So yeah, I have all the Fire Emblem, all the Xenoblade, and then I have like some miscellaneous ones, right? Like some miscellaneous Smash ones. So I have like Cloud, Sephiroth. I have Banjo, and I've never played Banjo Kazooie, but I'm just like, that is, it's one of those things. Like if an amiibo looks cool enough, I will buy it.
Sure.
Like so, Banjo Kazooie is like the Jiggy piece on the amiibo. Show up and
Yeah.
take my money. The Joker one, which is might be the best amiibo just from a design. Like it's just really good. Of course, I have like 3 Sora amiibos. I'm so mad, dude. Did I tell you the story? So I pre-ordered 3 of them,
Yes, I do recall this.
and I bought one to open, one for preservation,
Yep.
and a third one just in case.
Backup.
You never
Yep.
know. You never know
Yep.
what happens, right? And they all came in a box, and they were all fucking smushed.
Yeah.
And I've never had an issue with amiibos before
Was this
until
through-
Sora.
Was this through Amazon?
It was through Best Buy.
Oh, that surprises me.
Yeah.
I've generally had pretty good experiences with, Amazon's where I've gotten screwed on stuff like that, which I don't care. I never like buy stuff for like keep in box, like whatever. But I find
No, I open
oftentimes-
all my amiibos.
Yeah.
But like the one instance where I actually care about one staying in good condition,
right. Yeah.
destroyed.
Damn.
So yeah, so I need to like find a time. I've actually seen some Sora like just displayed at some of my local shops. And so next time I see one, I'm probably gonna just like nab it as long as it's like in perfect condition. Just be like, cool, this is it. But yeah, and then I do actually have a number of Zelda ones. Mainly because again, I just like the design. Like I really like how they just decided, hey, we're gonna have one link for each of the games.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. So I was like,
Yeah.
cool.
During the anniversary.
Yeah, and they did a reprint. So I was like, cool. I'm gonna scoop all these up. So I have like all of the like 30th or 25th anniversary Zelda ones. I need to get the Link's Awakening one. And then I think I need to get like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom link, and then that's basically it. And then I think I'm good. But yeah, I definitely have a bunch of amiibos. I just need to just be in my
Do something with
place, be in my space where I can actually display them again and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so cool. I might get the Elephant Mario. I did pre-order the Galaxy Mario one that comes out in April. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's cool.
That is a cool looking one.
I also love Captain Toad, so might scoop that. Other quickies for this week. Donkey Kong Country Returns has a free update, including Dixie Kong, which is kind of like easy mode. Like there's certain like you can like jump higher because of her hair and things like that. Turbo mode, where you basically can go through things faster, and then Switch 2 features, including enhanced visuals, faster load times, and game share. Kirby Air Riders version 1.3.0 update is out. Gives game share, new game mode called Grand Prix, a new rule set, sub-in series, and balance adjustments and bug fixes. Mario Kart World also has a new update. It's added team races to Knockout Tour when playing in a room during online play and wireless play. The game now supports the Polish language for any Poles out there. And then it fixed some like other like very specific issues. Splatoon 3 is getting a substantial update on January 29th. It's getting Flow Aura, a new mechanic that activates when defeating multiple opponents in a row, provides boost to speed, run speed, swim speed, ink resistance, and intensify action. Health bars on enemies, which I think is interesting. That is a big change. That is a big change, and I'm curious to see how that turns out. Hit detection adjustments, and then stealth jump gear, which allows players to jump to their teammates without the opposing team necessarily seeing where they will land. Very interesting seeing them add like some more competitive elements to the game.
Yeah.
A Walmart ad has shown Metroid Prime 2 Echoes and Pikmin 2 on a Nintendo Switch Online ad. So, seems like we're not getting that Metroid Prime 2 remaster, sadly.
Yeah. Well, and what that raises questions to me, I think, more than anything. Like, okay, so that's weird. Does that mean that we never get OG Prime on NSO because they want to keep that to the remaster? Does that also mean, like, what are we doing for 3? Are we waiting for Wii NSO at this point for that one? Or is that going to get, like, a dedicated remaster re-release first? Like,
That'd
it's such
be
a
so
bizarre...
fucking frustrating. I would be so mad if they did that.
The thing is, there are quite a few games that are like, we're getting on GameCube NSO, and they have direct sequels on Wii. So it's like, when is that happening? Because, you know, they just dropped Path of Radiance for Fire Emblem. When is Radiant Dawn going to be available to play on modern platforms? Same with, as we just said, Metroid Prime. It's like, cool, we're apparently getting 2 here. How are we going to play 3 anytime in the near future? You know, hey, still cool that there's going to be a way to play it. I think the biggest frustrating thing is just the consistency, right? Like, especially as someone who likes to be able to, like, buy and own games, NSO is always frustrating because it's like, cool, I have a way to play this. I would like to also just have it.
Yep.
Like a way that is mine to hold on to and not be beholden to when a service stops being available or whatever. I just wish they'd let you buy these games individually, even if it was like something stupid like, you know, $15 a pop. Like, just give me the option.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. On the semi-bright side, like, not bright side, but, like, alternative side is that, like, GameCube is one of the few, like, older systems where I really want to build a library for. So it's like, okay, like, if it's not going to be on, like, a physical release on Switch or, like, a remastered release, I'll just buy a copy of 2 for GameCube and probably play it that way. Or, like, you know, just so I know I have a physical copy when the Switch version is no longer available. But
yeah,
it's cool that it's coming in some form. I just wish it was in the remastered form.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment has officially sold 1 million copies. Virtual Boy NSO launch lineup has been announced. We're getting Galactic Pinball, 3D Tetris, Telero Boxer, Virtual Boy Wario Land, The Mansion of Innsmouth, Golf, and Red Alarm, with confirmed coming later being Mario Clash, Mario Tennis, Jack Bros, Space Invaders Virtual Collection, Virtual Bowling, Virtual Force, V Tetris. And then Zero Racers and D-Hopper are also coming out later this year.
Yeah, which Zero Racers is crazy because that's I don't think that ever came out. Like, that's a F-Zero Virtual Boy game that just, like, never actually released because Virtual Boy went down in flames, and they're making that available to play here now. Which is a really cool argument for, like, why to have the Virtual Boy NSO thing, because it's like, oh,
yeah,
we're getting stuff we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You know, it's like when they added Star Fox 2 to the Super Nintendo Classic, and then eventually I think it found its way to NSO as well, I think. That's really cool that that's actually happening. I know there's a lot of people who are kind of not so hot on Virtual Boy NSO being a thing. They would have rather seen another platform happen sooner or just had more games release on the ones we already have. But I think this is super freaking cool. It's happening. I'm grabbing the peripherals. I'm planning on talking about these more, but yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, I want to get the Virtual Boy attachment, like, eventually. Like, I think it's, you know, it's obviously niche, but it's cool, and, like,
yeah,
I just want
it's definitely niche because it's still in stock. Like, all the other times they've been like, hey, here's this controller, or here's this controller.
Sold out immediately.
Gone immediately. Yeah. GameCube is the only exception because I think they keep restocking it, and they actually have done, like, a larger push for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so many of the other ones were, like, instantly gone, and Virtual Boy was like, hey, it's up for pre-order. Crickets.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered one. But Yeah, it's still up there if you want to grab one.
Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered has been delayed to an unannounced date. Code Vein 2 character creator demo is out now. And Streets of Fury EX is getting a free update titled Come Back in 10 Years. It's going to include tag battle mode, new playable characters, and new challenges. And if I saw it correctly, it's supposed to release... is it out now, or is it out in the future? They don't say. Yeah, it looks like it's out now. So, oh yeah, update is live. It is out now. So, it's on Steam specifically, and this was developed by the Streets of Rage 4 and Absalom.
I'm not sure anymore because the dev said Absalom, and then in game they say Absalom, so it's very weird.
Okay, it might be an accent thing, maybe.
Yeah, it might be an accent thing. I think did Guard Crush work on Absalom though? Because I know Absalom was because Dotemu is like the overall like producer for everything.
Yeah.
But Guard Crush, I know Guard Crush worked on. Oh no, okay, so Guard Crush was Absalom as well. Yeah, Streets of Fury is a weird one. I don't know if you've actually looked at gameplay of this one. It's where you actually play as like people, like that sounds dumb. It's like actual rotoscoped in like people. Like it's not like a character that's drawn or anything. It's like here's a motion capture of this person, and they're the person you're playing as, running around and hitting things. It's definitely a sillier looking title than a lot of the other stuff they've worked on.
Now we're gonna get into what we've been playing for this week. I have returned to Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm in a headspace now where I feel like now's the time to do it. Like,
if you don't do it now, you'll never go back, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I think that Xenoblade Chronicles, you kind of have to commit to it because it's just such a big game and there's like so much stuff.
Especially X, which is like a different vibe from
And so, I returned to that, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm basically using the time that I can to play games right now. I'm trying to use that, and then we're finally going back to Legend of Dragoon.
It's happening.
It's happening. We're doing it. We have the time right now because we're not like reviewing shit right now, which is great. So those are like my two games right now. I haven't gone back to Legend of Dragoon, but like that's kind of my headset. Just like my mind says, like if I have the time at night, I'm gonna play and I'm at home, I'm gonna play Legend of Dragoon. And if I'm like out driving and have the time, I'm gonna like waiting for like deliveries or whatever. I'm playing Xenoblade, and I'm just like trying to knock that out. Speaking of this, I don't know if you saw my post about this.
Oh, you mean about how you stress tested your frickin' Power-A protective case? I meant to do a reply that was just Cameron.
I'm so sorry. It was totally on accident because like when I go out,
I would hope it was an accident.
Yeah, no. When I go out for the day, I'm just like, okay, like I have a thing of tea with me. I have like I take a couple of soda cans with me. I try and stock up so I don't spend money while I'm out driving. And so I had my Switch, and I put my Switch on top of the car while I was like loading in the drinks and stuff like that.
Classic mistake.
Yep, and then I just get in the car and I start driving, and I live on a hill, right? Thank God it happened before I hit an actual main street. Could you imagine if it happened when I was on a main street? So I'm going down a hill, and there's like a little bit of curve, right? And then just out of nowhere, I just like see in my peripherals something gray just like fly off the top of my car, and I was just like, oh shit, that was my Switch. And so I stopped the car immediately, like in a very inconvenient place. Thankfully there was no cars coming up or down the hill at the time, and I had to walk back. I had to walk up the hill across the street. It flew across the street, and it barely got any damage on the case, and the Switch 2 was perfectly fine. And I'm like, you know what? I got to shout out Power-A for this. I got to make a post and shout out Power-A. And they did respond this morning. They were just like, "You did what?" They were like, "What happened?" But yes, that was a very funny bit, and yeah, my Switch 2 is okay, guys. No harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. Now we're gonna get into the topic of the show, and we've done this podcast for over a year now, and we've gotten more and more listeners, and through just general discussion, of course, I think that we've people have kind of grasped at the things that we look for in a JRPG, but I kind of wanted to reopen the floor, our first revisit topic, where I just hey, what do you look for in a JRPG? What are the things that you really like? What are the things that you dislike? Those kind of things, and just kind of have an open discussion. Maybe talk about oh, where do you stand on this? Where do you stand on that? And go from there. So, Kevin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's really funny because you say, we did this topic a year ago. This was what, our not our first video, but our second or third podcast.
It was the first episode, yeah.
Was it? It wasn't
it wasn't the quote unquote topic, but it was because we were what is a JRPG?
Oh,
and then
true,
we
yeah.
kind of divulged into that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't fully remember what specifics I brought up back then, so I can only go to how I feel now, and it's almost I wonder if, play these side by side, if there's an adjustment, if there's a change. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a couple, I think, main things I go back to very often. I think one immediate shorthand for a lot of folks when it comes to RPGs is not always the same kind of, but usually story is important to a large degree, more so than a lot of other games, right? I'm willing to forgive, I can play an action game that has terrific combat and terrible story, and that's A-okay with me. RPGs usually a bit the opposite, where it's I could put up with bad gameplay, but just make sure the story's good, And that's oftentimes a central thing, because you also spend so much more time in these worlds oftentimes. I mean, even at their shortest, you're talking about a 20 to 25 hour investment. Party is always a huge focus, which I think you and I sometimes come to different things we're looking for out of the party, but that is, I think, another central concept in a lot of RPGs.
Really? Let's dive into this, because I don't know if I agree with you on this, so I'm kind of curious.
That we have differences, or that the party's important?
We both agree that the party's important, for
yes.
sure. The differences as to what we look for in a party.
Sure. Well, I just look back at times where we've had disagreements either on how we felt about certain party members, or just general vibes of a story. I think EX33
sure.
is definitely one of the big examples of where we've split up, and that has to do with story choices as well. But I just think that we both emphasize similar things, but we've come out differently in terms of what stuff we're oh, that was a good example, and you're I don't know, was that a good example?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I don't remember, so I'm just okay, sure. Because I think that we both agree that party is super important, and there's definitely instances where there may be a character that you really like, and there's one I was that's fine. But I was thinking more of you made it sound like a more of a general way, where there'd be a game where oh, this party I don't as a whole, I don't really vibe with, and you're oh, I love this party, that kind of mentality. Gotcha. Right. We talked about it, I think, a little bit in Chrono Trigger. I think that Chrono Trigger, when we were talking about it on Campfire Catalog, you really love Frog, and to a certain extent, I get it. But another extent, I'm just oh yeah, but there's Robo and there's Mael, and and I feel a lot of people don't really from what we talked about on that Campfire Catalog, a lot of people aren't crazy about Mael like that, and I'm and I'm not saying I'm crazy about Mael, but I do think she's one of the stronger party members.
Right. You got some Expedition 33 leaking into your brain a little bit right now?
Or what? Oh, what's her name? what is her name? Where's her name?
Marley.
Or
Marl.
Marl. Yeah, I called her Marl. I think I called her Marl. Yeah. Mael.
because the Japanese pronunciation I think is Maru, so a lot of people interpret it as Marl. But that's one of those things where it's like we've never had a visual voice acting, so people are just kind of like, I think this is how I'm supposed to say this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's a character that, yeah, and that is definitely a difference of like which characters resonate like more or less. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I just like I think that there's definitely can be like these really nice diverse casts where certain characters stand out for other people like for different reasons. And I actually think that is a great showing of a like great
Of
cast.
a good cast.
Of a
Right.
good cast.
Different people can have different feelings.
Different people have different feelings about different stuff. So yeah, okay. Continue.
Yeah, so what we talked about party members, characters, story. I would say for me, you know, I definitely prefer or look for games that I think when it comes to the mechanics can do something a little different or a little weird. I don't mind like a well-produced, tight execution of like classic formulas, but I definitely like seeing like weird ideas or weird interactivity with things. I'm a sucker for a class system. It's not always the right answer, but I'm always gets my ears perked up a little bit.
That's the D&D in you.
Yeah, a little bit. It would also just character like I like the idea of it. It isn't always the right move depending on how your cast is set up, but the idea of like customizing or you know being able to choose roles for characters to inhabit in a way. And sometimes it's a great thing, and sometimes it's kind of weird. Yeah. Your turn, Cam. What are things you're looking for, or what are things that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I do agree with what you were saying about how you see like JRPGs with like the story and gameplay relationship. Like, obviously, like the gameplay of JRPGs are my favorite, but I also think that like though JRPGs are like the ones that I'm more lenient on in the sense of if the gameplay isn't great, I like can normally push through if the story is good enough.
As long as it's not actively upsetting and like painful to go through, just like
yeah, because I really do see RPGs in general as like, okay, like I want a good story out of this. That is what I want out of this. And I think that while there's other games that are outside that genre where it's just like, oh, I'm probably like playing this for the gameplay, and then if I get a good story out of it on top of that, awesome, right? And that's why like that's like one of the things that like I get frustrated with, where like certain people like, you know, like when people just like say certain games like, oh, this is like the best story like ever, and it's just like you like and I'm not saying that there can't be like great fantastic short stories, but it's just like I like JRPGs because you get to spend so much time with those characters. Where I feel like with like these with other games, it's just like I feel like I hardly actually got to spend time with this character and get to know this character. That it just didn't like really hit the same way. And yeah, so I think like story is like what I love most about JRPGs. And also just like changes like it has affected my expectations with like stories outside of the genre too, which is a little unfair because again, like they're much shorter games, but it's also just like this is still an option. You know what I mean?
You're comparing the character development of a 3-season show with hour-long episodes against a duology of movies that have 4 hours of runtime across all of them, and it's like you pace things differently, and there's ways to pull these off better. But especially if you're caring about character relationships or time with people, yeah, obviously you're gonna have a bit of an advantage with the thing that takes longer.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you know, obviously, like we said before, party is super important. Like if you're not enjoying like the characters that you're playing with, like then you're or not even like in the sense of just like their character writing, right? Like you can like think a character is like you don't like a character personally, but you think that they're a well written character. Like you know that can definitely exist.
Certainly.
And yeah, and again, like one of the things that I've talked about before is just like and And you know, this doesn't always apply to some of my favorite JRPGs, but I do think it is a thing that I really like look for, is that I want to care about the world I'm saving.
Right.
I want there to be like reasons for me to care about this world outside of like general morality of like, oh, these people are gonna die, but you know, like,
I don't want the Dark Lord to destroy everything.
yeah, exactly. Like, give me some reason, in-world reasons,
Give you connections to it. Yeah.
Yeah, as to why I care about this world and why I want to actually save it. Again, one of the games I really, really love that doesn't really do that for me, but I still love it, is Final Fantasy 13. Don't really care about that world, like, in a real way, in sense of saving it, but I love that game so much, and so like you know, there are outliers to that, and yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, those are definitely like the main things, and again, just like a sense of adventure, like like feel like, you know, when I finish a game, thinking back about like everything that I just experienced, me like, wow, what a journey I just went on.
Yeah.
So like those are like the big things for sure.
Yeah. I will say, for me, I think some other things that tend to come up, I always really enjoy a sense of, and this goes back a little bit to the concept of like caring about the world, but I think it's the thing that always gets exciting to me is the idea of the sense of exploration that can come with discovering a world. And I don't necessarily mean this in terms of like the video game pillar of exploration. Like, I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, are there good mechanics for traversal and, you know, feeling a sense of reward for finding things, as much as it is like, you know, take me to interesting places that are different than something I've seen anywhere else, right? Whether that's in the way they've handled the architectural inspiration, the way that particular world's like depiction of not necessarily the government, but like how a place is ran, and just like the vibes of that given town or place. That's always like a really big thing for me, is like the idea that I'm going somewhere that I haven't really fully seen elsewhere before. You know, it's not just like, here's the old starter town. Show me things and places that are interesting.
Yeah, and I think like part of that is the context of the world, right? Because I mean, there's certain things that are a lot more fantastical, you know, or sci-fi or something like that. But then there's like Pokemon, right? Where like, with Pokemon, it's like, yeah, you're going to all these different towns that are like basically the same thing, but it's like it's more so the events that take place in the town that make those things memorable.
Yeah, although I think Pokemon does have room for it. It's not experimented with often, and it's certainly not every town you're in. But I do think there's an interesting way to play with, you know, if Pokemon are a real thing that exist, how does that shape the way that your locale or place is toned or depicted? Whether that's, you know, going all in on like, oh, Lavender Town, heavy focus on ghost stuff. Literally, there's a large graveyard, and so we have a heavy focus of ghost Pokemon, and there's this kind of just general spooky vibe that comes with that concept. Or, you know, in some of the later games, they've begun to experiment a little bit more with the idea of like, hey, literally Pokemon are just like involved in like helping construction or just doing things in the world, and they're not just here for your children dogfights. Like, they do exist elsewhere in the space.
Yeah, there's a harmony between the people and the Pokemon. Yeah. Trying to think of what. Well, I mean, like, again, like some of the things that I talked about, like that I dislike previously. Some are like have nothing to do with JRPGs in general. It's just like respecting time. Like, that's definitely a big thing for me. There was this one other thing that I know that really irks me, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. Kevin, what are some of the things that you like don't like in a JRPG?
Oh, geez. Don't like. One thing that always lightly irks me, and like I get over it, but it does irk me a little bit. I've never enjoyed the idea of doing things like unwinnable battles. It's like, just do that in the story. Just give me a cutscene where I get my ass handed to me and we call it a day. I understand there's this idea of like trying to give the sense of like you as the player. This actually came up with something that you and I both played recently, where there's times where it's just like, I know narratively I'm supposed to just lose this thing. Why are we wasting time with like loading into battle and having me actually think for a moment and go, oh wait, there's no point to this. Okay, let's just get it over with. It's interesting when it's like the ones that are balanced where you actually can like win to an extent. You get those occasional ones where there's like a reward for pulling it off just enough. FF8's a great example of this, where there's this like immortal spider tank thing that you can kill after your first fight with it. Like the first fight, you just have to run away, like as a scripted thing. But you can beat it on like a later encounter, and you get some cool stuff for doing that. Like that stuff I like. I like when it's like an optional thing and it's like a challenge for you to overcome. But when it's just like narratively, we need you to lose here. Like cool, just narratively have me lose here.
Yeah. In the older Trails games, I'm actually curious if they're going to implement them in the remake, because I'm pretty sure in second chapter at least it happens a few times. There are fights that are like either unwinnable or like they're purposefully extremely difficult, but they are winnable, and if you win, like the cutscene will be different.
Right. It like acknowledges the fact that you just like held your own in whatever situation.
Yeah, it's like nothing that is like it feels like ultimate timeline or anything like that type reveal or scene, but it does like recognize like, oh, you did this. So
yeah. No, I always respect when you have plot be aware of that. Like I think a really great example actually of one that I enjoyed was and this ends up playing a little bit into special hidden stuff to unlock in this game, but in Triangle Strategy there's a battle where you're playing a kind of defensive pitch battle, and it's meant to be you're a little overwhelmed. It's one of the harder fights, like just default difficulty wise. And one of the things you can do is basically burn your own houses down as part of like a trap to take out a lot of enemy units, or at least deal a ton of damage. And it's cool and all, but it's like narratively you are burning down houses in the town you live in. And if you get through that fight without doing that, if you're able to like hold your own and you don't activate the fire traps, it's like acknowledged narratively where they're just like, I don't know, like these dudes just fought really fucking hard. We don't know how like they held off like we don't know how they held us off this well without resorting to any kind of trickery. And it's like, yes, cool, awesome, because I'm just that badass right now. And I like that it respects that like acknowledging. It's always done when there's like you're supposed to do this trick or whatever, and then if you don't, the game just assumes you still did it narratively. And it's nice to see that reflected. I feel like most of my hangups to JRPGs tend to come down to mechanical choices. Like, I don't know, I hate no bench XP if there's no other way to like, balance it out.
Terrible.
Right? Like
yeah.
I love being able to use my whole party, and if you're not giving away for like the people I'm not actively using to keep up in some fashion, and like some games walk this balance well, like Suikoden, for instance, because it's such a gigantic freaking cast, it always does relative XP. So like if you have someone you haven't been leveling at all and you bring them into a late game fight, they're going to gain like 8 levels instantly because they just get a huge disproportional amount until they catch up. But like games where it's like, yeah, I'm not using these party members right now, and now I have to use them for some stretch, or there's a reason I want to try using them out for a bit, and it's like, cool, they are 20 levels under leveled. That's great timing. I have a friend who got minor spoilers, I guess, in the sense that this does happen. A friend of mine stopped playing FF6 for that very reason, because there's basically a stretch where you have to use certain characters, and they were like none of the characters he leveled. So it's like, cool, I'm just like in this part of the game with like a severely underleveled party, and I'm just not having a good time, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I grind if I can't even like live?
That's super funny. Yeah, one of the things that we talked about like a bit last episode, we talked about with Brandon, that I just do not care about at all in JRPGs. It's just like the gamifying of the genre, where it's like you're trying to break the game, or you're trying to make these like super powerful builds to, you know, that type of thing. It's just like I don't care about that. Like, it just does not interest me. It's not why I'm playing a JRPG. Is it cool that it exists as an option? Absolutely. You know, like, I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but it's definitely something that I just do not care about. And I just, it's just not what I'm there for.
Sure.
So like, and I'm not trying to pick on Brandon. So Brandon, if you listen to this episode, I'm not trying to pick on you. It's just an example.
Yeah, what I think what to also like frame it as, right, is where that kind of mentality is necessary for progress, right? Like you want a game where you know those options exist and there's ways to break things that are silly, but if that breaking is necessary to just even finish the game, it's like cool. Why I don't want to spend time doing this. I'm actually very curious for if when you eventually play through Ivalice Chronicles, because Final Fantasy Tactics is very much a game about making broken units to do silly things, and there's a handful of fights where if you don't have that, enjoy.
I think there's something different. I think there's a difference between realizing that something is like very good and very like abusable than like specifically going out of your way to gamify like and be like this super ultra powerful like being at a point in the game where you're like really not supposed to be, or like that type of thing. That is where I take more issue with, like, like just knowing that, like, again, Brandon, that like Brandon like has played through Three Houses like several times, and the way that he like said that he like abused the systems. So I'm like, I do not get fun out of that. I just, like that's not what I go to a JRPG for. And yeah, I just like, just not my thing. Just not my thing.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a non-issue for me. I have fun when like that is a part of the playstyle or the thing, and there certainly are some games where I begin to mess with that more, like Expedition 33 was a big example of this last year.
Yeah,
again, like I said, Final Fantasy Tactics, that's a big part of Tactics, is like making some broken-ass character builds. But it's not a thing I'm looking for, but I'm not opposed to it when it comes up. It's more of I'm just like, okay, cool, like this is this kind of game. Like this is the situation, I'm going to lean into it. I would say it's not really a deterrent or a bonus for me. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like if it's something that I recognize, like it is a thing that that I don't have to deal with. It's not a deterrent. It's just more just saying like, hey, my brain is not wired like that. And if it is a thing that exists, like, because I think in Expedition 33, it's a bit more direct and in your face about it.
Sure.
Versus like other games, but it is still something that's just like where people are like, oh yeah, I did this build and I did all this damage, and I'm just like, I just want to beat this boss, dog. Like I'm just trying to win. Like I'm trying to like progress in the story. Like that's where I'm at. Like obviously, like, do I like it when I see like something very effective happen? Like again, like one of like the most satisfying things is in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where you have all the orbs around, and then you break all the orbs, and then you just deal a shit ton of damage. I'm like, that was awesome, but I also didn't need to abuse the system to make that happen. And
you're like, engaging the system.
Yes, exactly.
You're using it as intended.
Yes, and that's when it feels really good. But yeah, so like that's something that again, like if it's something that I know that I can do or can be done, but I don't have to engage with it.
Yeah.
For you sickos that love that shit, have fun.
I feel like we're veering into like what things JRPGs do in general that like we like or dislike. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple of these similar concepts I kind of want to cover real quick. And these can be, it's still like things you look for in a JRPG or not, but it's things that some of them do, and I'm curious your feelings on some of them. So let's go with multiple endings.
Multiple endings.
Yeah, is that a bonus for you? Is that a deterrent? Does it matter how it's like executed?
I'm trying to think about it. It depends. It really depends. Like again,
sure.
For example, let's talk about it again. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like I know that you don't have to do every route to get like the story of like what's going on. Sure. But when I learned like, oh, you can only do this route through Black Eagles, even though it is like it's because of Edelgard's character. It is much like more grounded than that for me mentally. It's just like I don't care I don't care about that. If it is an exclusive route that is only through this character, to me that is like, oh, that is the route I need to do.
Which is so funny, in the context of why that route is different. Like we've had this talk before, and I really do find this particular example so silly personally that like
I know
that feels
I know
weird
that's just how my brain. Well, like here's the thing. Like once I like, that is like my immediate thought like going into the game.
Because
like,
I also forget. Like, do you actually know? Like, do you actually have you been spoiled what the things are, or are you just
I know
going off of?
I know the general aspect of it.
Sure.
Yes. And so like I don't know, it just like it kind of feels like the revelations from like Fates where it's just like,
oh, it's definitely not.
well, I mean, I don't know because I haven't gotten to that point in Three Houses.
Yeah, because Revelations is like here's everything coming together, and this is definitely the true route, which is not a thing I think you can say about any of the Three Houses endings.
That's just so okay. Like that's even more frustrating to me. Like
having a true route,
not having like a canon intended route.
Oh, I love not having a canon route.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Give me like that's part of my beef with Revelations is that it's like the worst version of everything works out and everyone comes together except one character dies because we decided they should for this route specifically for reasons. Like that, oh god, I hate Revelations so much.
I know that
Revelations. I love
Revelations.
the Three Houses dodged that.
I know that Revelations, like, I mean, it's hard to compare these two because they're two completely different concepts, right?
Yeah, it's different approaches to the idea of different endings and stories.
But what I'm saying is like Revelations, like I think in general, like saying what you're saying about Revelations, like Revelations would have been good if Revelations was a good game. Like if the story was good, if it came together, right?
I think it's doomed to not be good because of that choice, is my argument.
I mean, I haven't played Revelations, so I can't say that, but I just like fundamentally disagree with that idea. And so like because the thing is like just knowing like Corrin's character and all that stuff, like I think it makes sense that like, yeah, like I'm not going to go either way because I have problems with both sides or whatever.
Sure. I think a large part of it for me is that if you're going to introduce the concept of choice, give me a choice with actual interesting consequences and divergence and not just simply, oh, but then there's also the best version. You can just do the best of all things.
Let me explain it this way because I think you're going to better understand where my mentality is at with choices.
Sure.
If we're talking like a Mass Effect or a Baldur's Gate where you're consistently making choices, you're consistently shaping your own story, 100% okay with non-canonical endings. Totally okay with that. When it is literally like just like, these three routes that you start in the beginning of a game that will lead to a specific ending that will be different depending on which house you choose, that I take more issue with.
Yeah, and I vastly prefer it.
Yeah,
if you're going to have choices.
Yeah, we're just on
like
different sides of the spectrum here.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I love a game that just has a specific story it wants to tell and it does that start to finish. Just don't give me a choice then, if that's what you want to do. Like here's actually there's a thing I hate in games. I hate fake yes or no choices.
For sure.
Like I hate when a game's just like, if you pick the no option, they just re-ask you the question and they're going to keep re-asking you until you pick yes. Or you make the choice and then it immediately recollapses after 5 seconds of dialogue that throws away whatever you just chose. That shit infuriates me. I absolutely love that if a game is going to give me choices, give me like different shit. So to use the Fire Emblem example, right, of like Three Houses versus Fates, like Fates to me is dumb is that you introduce two interestingly different stories, but both of them are incomplete, and then you sell me a third DLC that is the true route that answers questions and brings everyone together in some kind of happy way. Whereas Three Houses is just like, look, here's these three kind of four different routes you can take. Each one is its own different way that things play out based on a decision you made early on, and they are each their own complete canonical story. It is just which way you ended up going. That to me is far more interesting and rewarding.
I think I would be more okay with it if I actually had some context, real context to the choice I was making in the beginning. If it's literally just, hey, pick these 3 houses, you're basing this all on this one character in front of you that you don't know anything about outside of their personality, that's not a good choice. That's not a good choice to start with. That is not what I should rely my entire 80-hour run.
It is not 80 hours.
60 okay, like 60 hours. That's still a long time.
For Fire Emblem Three Houses?
People are talking about how long that game is.
I'm looking this up real quick. That game's not 60 hours.
Really? That's surprising to me.
Okay, 50, which still feels longer than I remember it being. But I
Is
also
that
tend to
not
play with
including
everything
side
sped
quests?
up.
Is that not including side quests?
Okay, here they're saying side quest 70, but this must be like not turning off combat animations and doing everything the slowest way possible, because that game did not take me that long. Second playthroughs take like 25 hours?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That just does not work for me. It just doesn't. Because initially, when what happened was I chose Golden Deer,
Yep.
as one should. And then I find out like, oh yeah, Black Lions has an exclusive route. What?
Exclusive route is a very weird way to word it, because it's not like, it's a choice, but it's not like an exclusive special version of things. Like,
I know,
again,
but it's an exclusive route that you only get if you happen to have chosen that route. You would not have
Golden
known
Deer's
unless
ending is also an exclusive route that only happens if you choose Golden Deer. Like, that doesn't... You hear what you're saying right now? Like... It's not as if all the other routes are the identical same events, and then Black Eagles gets the special extra 10 hours of gameplay or something.
I get what you're saying, but it still irks me. It still irks
It's just
me.
such a funny one to me. Like, it just... Yeah.
It still irks me. Like, I understand that it's not like a canon intended ending, but it still irks me that is only... And I know it's connected to Elgar's character. That's fine. But, like, it's just... my brain doesn't like it. My brain doesn't like it, Kevin.
All right, buddy.
But, no, but yeah, outside of Three Houses, because goddamn, when it comes to choices, I'm okay with it. I think most JRPGs, don't do choices super well.
Sure.
I more look for that in my Western RPGs.
Sure.
And there are some instances where I'm actually curious, how well is that implemented in Triangle Strategy? Because that was one of the big, for me, that was kind of one of the big sellers on Triangle Strategy.
Sure. So Triangle Strategy is interesting. I'm going to give minor structural spoilers.
Sure.
Because there's not really a way to talk about this otherwise, but I won't go into specifics. So Triangle Strategy does have a happy ending route. There's one good ending, and there are 3 value-based endings. You could think of it as each ending is focused on one of the game's 3 values, and then there is a golden route that is you balanced all the values perfectly. And normally, as I mentioned earlier, I don't care for that kind of result. I like how it's handled in Triangle Strategy, because it is extremely difficult to do the golden one on your first playthrough. In fact, it is pretty much implied that you're doing this on New Game Plus.
I already hate that.
Yeah,
I
both in the sense of how
hate
it's...
that.
Well, because the idea is that it's difficult to walk a path balancing all these different virtues and values, and you see the flaws into leaning into only one at a time, and then it's like, oh, here's the golden path where, you truly are, walking all the values well and doing things right. It also requires you to make very specific decisions throughout the whole game. It's absolutely a, second, third playthrough type deal. You're never going to stumble on it on your first go. And even with a guide, it's pretty hard to, you would need to have a guide that goes through every single choices, which I don't think really exists out there for it. Yeah, so that's how it handles it. A lot of the other choices are very immediate recollapses, but some of them are important for unlocking that golden path eventually. And there are some choices that will impact how, some later things play out a little bit. But a lot of it is, which of these ultimate endings are you building towards?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like how there's like a golden route that whole aspect that you just mentioned. Not a fan of that
Oh,
in general.
I like it in Triangle Strategy. I don't like it in Fire Emblem the way it's done, but I like how it's done in Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, I also don't really like how it's done. Like those things are done in Persona, either. Like I just let me do the golden path. Like not in the sense that it's not available to you, but it's just like there's like so little actual role playing until you. It's just like, hey, you get to this kind of spot and you got to make this decision, and it either like goes down the royal, like goes down the royal path, or it goes down the normal path, or it goes down the bad path.
Well,
like,
and Royal's weird because that's a situation where it's like, hey, do you want to play vanilla story or do you want like the Royal exclusive stuff? It's a bizarre way of handling the fact that this is a re-release and not like a complete brand new game.
yeah, and it's I'm not. It is an anomaly with the Persona games, but it's still something.
Specifically the re-releases when you get into stuff like that and For Golden.
Yeah, in general, like choices for JRPGs, I've had like more bad experiences than good. I'm not against it completely, but I'm also like admittedly a stickler. Like it needs to be done the right way for me to be like, yeah.
Man, there are some, because I know we've talked about like retro stuff you haven't played yet or other ones. There's a couple, especially during the PS1 era, there's some games that are going to absolutely piss you off if you actually take the time to play them. Because a lot of them are built around the concept of like, hey, we're selling games where like we realize you're not getting a game every month. Like we want to give you playtime. So we're going to have like esoteric, hard as hell, weird ways of getting true endings, and you're kind of meant to figure this out on like, your second, third, or fourth go around.
Yeah,
and
that's
you would
a
never
YouTube
figure it out
video,
first.
dog. That's a YouTube video at that point.
Like, I will tell you right now, up front, you will never get the true ending of Valkyrie Profile accidentally. You're going to have to find a guide if you want to get the true ending of that game. Because it requires you doing things you would never naturally do, like, as a player.
That's fine.
Like, esoteric specific stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Telling me I need to play through a game multiple times and then fight specific like that's
because that would have been the method back in the day though, right? Because you didn't have like easy access to guides or like outside of buying an official one. Like the goal was that you play it once, get the okay ending, and go, well, what do I need to do to get the better one?
Yeah, and admittedly, even when I was younger, I was never a fan of that. Like it's not like just because I've gotten older and I have less time that I never was a fan of that.
Yeah,
I get why they did it. Nope. I feel like we're talking about all the things that I've been hating. Kevin, you gotta hate some more things. Hate some more things with me.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about my feelings about like these different concepts. I guess it's just like here's the thing. I don't have a lot of hater energy, if I'm being honest. There's just a lot of stuff where I'm like, cool, that's the way they chose to go this route. And I mean, there's stuff that'll bother me like in the short term, but there's not many things where I'm just like, oh, like if a game has this like mechanic or this way of doing things, dropped. Like I don't have that kind
there's like I don't there, to be clear, like I say I hate these things. I'm not against like playing them still, but it's just definitely something where it's just like, yep, don't like this, don't like that, like I know my taste, if that makes sense, and yeah,
and it's like, I mean, I have my tastes, my preferences, but I think I'm also, I don't know, I'm very open to like pursuing each game on its own terms of like what it's trying to do or wants to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of that, but I think as a result, I like wipe away my, like, I almost wipe away my personal interest then in terms of like, oh, I don't like when games do this or this. It's like, I'm really trying to just do this on its terms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I take the game when I play it for what it is, right? And then something may come up where it's just like, boy, I like, I don't like that, or I don't like this. Like, one game that, and I think it's a great game in general, and this is more of a personal thing for me. One game that kind of like I got burnt out on to the point where I just like never finished is Unicorn Overlord.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just like, I'm really like I'm digging this, I'm vibing with it. And then it's just like, boy, this is the entire game, huh? and I'm doing kind of like the same things over and over again in a way that I just like wasn't real. I just didn't feel like real progression, I guess, in a real way.
Yeah, you're doing these big, fairly long engagements, and you're doing those over and over again. And there is plot that happens, but sometimes it's after quite a few of those battles where nothing has happened plot-wise other than this person joined you.
Yeah, and so like, and then it's like, yep, here's another person is gonna be like in one of my back units, and like, I don't know, I just like, it was something that like I got to a point where I was just like, I think I have gotten the most I'm going to get out of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I like the game, and I think the game has like some interesting systems, I just didn't like the story just really wasn't going anywhere. And the the sense of like a party didn't really exist in a traditional way.
Sure.
That I was just like, I think I'm good. Like I might come back to this and revisit it later, but like I just didn't feel the need to continue.
Yeah, and that's fair of Unicorn Overlord. I think that game really demands that you care about like its core combat system,
which was cool and unique for sure.
Yeah, but you have to. That has like the joy of doing that needs to be enough. Not to say that there isn't plot and other stuff that happens in the game that's like good and solid, but it heavily takes a backseat to you're going to do a lot of battles over and over and over again. And if that isn't enough, if the active play is not enough joy, you're not gonna stick with it. For that particular example, yeah. I mean, like when I think about things that I guess like bother me more, I mean, like I mentioned, I don't really care for like Revelations, Fire Emblem specifically. I think one thing that rubs me the wrong way sometimes is, and this has more to do with storytelling than any kind of particular game choice. I want to feel interesting, real stakes and like good writing. There are games where I'm just bothered by like, yep, and then everything worked out fine and everyone's A-okay and happy. I mean, this has been a large argument I've had. We've brought it before with like some of the Persona games where like a big shift after 3 for me was that like 3, upped certainly like the visual novel vibes and with the music choices, and that began the direction that Persona is now in. But I also feel like 3 still kept some of the darker, depressing
SMT vibes.
Yeah, and there's absolutely some like, it is a Pyrrhic victory game. Like it is it is not a thing where everyone ends up fine. And then 4 and 5 are both just like, and then yep, all the main characters are good. We all like, everyone gets together. We all have a fun time. Everything's great. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, give me something. Make me hurt a little. Like, like I don't need everything to be pop. Like, make me feel things.
I would say 5 at the very least does that a little bit, in my opinion. But
5 straight up hints that the one character that might actually be dead is just okay. Like, but come on.
Like, okay, hold on. You don't think that they're? I think you're being a little bit absolutist here. Like because like you don't think like the tragedy of like Maruki isn't like enough, or you know what I mean? Like, or does it have to be specific with the party, right? Like if it's just the party, then like sure, I'll give you that, because like in Persona 3, like definitely there's like things that affect the party.
No, I'm not saying there's no tragedy or no drama in the games and everything is happy-go-lucky at all given moments. I mean, dear Lord, the first palace in Persona 5 is a great example of how that is not the case.
Yeah.
But I'm primarily talking in terms of resolution. Like,
yeah.
I don't find it interesting when resolution is everything 100% works out and thumbs up. Like, it just isn't a thing that I find interesting.
Yes, sure.
And again, this is ultimately a plot preference, not really anything about, like, RPGs specifically, but...
This actually makes so much sense why you're a Xenoblade 2 hater. Because Xenoblade 2 is, like, the opposite of that. It's, like, so, like, optimism-filled and, like, so, like,
It's a
Human.
It's a goddamn shonen, and I've seen plenty of shonen in my life.
No, it's not.
It's a
dog.
shonen.
No,
like,
it's not.
Beat for beat, it's the immeasurable force of will and power of a 14-year-old boy with multiple women that want him. Like, what are you talking about?
if that's how you're gonna dumb it down to, sure.
I'm not saying it doesn't have other elements. There absolutely are like well-written parts of 2, and there are things it does, but it just loses so much juice for me because it ultimately still boils down to a lot of those tropes and choices. That's just how my reaction to it was. Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
Rex is genuinely awful. I'm sorry.
I don't. I think he would be better if he had a better voice actor, but
and here's the thing. I don't necessarily mind a wildly optimistic character who's going to get by, like, off of his power of friendship and belief. I mean, I absolutely love Ichiban, but I also love Ichiban because that man gets kicked in the stomach multiple times and still stands by his beliefs and choices. Like, things don't work out for him.
You don't think that happens to Rex?
I think Rex ends up with a harem.
Rex dies in the first couple hours.
Yeah, and then he ends up with a harem, living happily ever after. Like, what do you...
Not without sacrifice. Not... You know what I mean?
What does he sacrifice other than getting plot armor that brings him back to life?
Not him experiencing sacrifice, like Van Damme, like.
Yeah, there's other characters that have things they go through.
And you don't think that affects Rex?
I think Rex has development, but I just don't think his ending is interesting whatsoever.
It doesn't. Okay. I'm not saying that the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is interesting, but I do think it is. Like, I love it. I think it's a beautiful ending. I think it's a touching ending.
Yeah, sure. It tugs emotional heartstrings.
Yeah.
Sure. That doesn't make it good.
Oh my
Getting
god.
misty-eyed doesn't make a game
good.
my
My god, you gotta stop.
Like, hey, I got a lot of stuff that gives me emotional reactions that I like, but I can't just be like, oh man, like, this thing that tugs at heartstrings immediately is good writing. Like, that's not... Those aren't the same thing.
If I get an emotional reaction out of something...
See, and here's the difference, right? I feel everything all the time, and you're emotionally constipated. That's part of the problem.
That actually might be a part of the problem. that actually might be the part of the problem. But
I feel things too much. I feel sad when someone next to me is sad. Like, I feel everything all of the time.
Yeah,
I cry so easy.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. But no. I mean, see, now you threw me off. Now I'm just like, well, maybe fuck me, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's not. But it's just different. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're different people, Cam. We respond to things differently.
Yeah. Damn.
I love the direction this all ended up taking. Who knew this is where we'd end up?
I really gotta stew in that though. I really gotta think about that off podcast because, yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I thought I loved the ending of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So
yeah, I think it's a fine game. I don't feel the way some people do about 2.
I mean, you're in the majority, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I shit on Rex. I do actually enjoy a lot of things about Xenoblade 2. Like, I do like it. It's just my least favorite, and there are specific choices it makes that I really don't like. So I like to harp on those particular things, but I'm not just like...
As does the internet.
Because there are some people who are like, oh, I'll never play 2 because it has boobs. And it's like, okay, calm down. Calm down. A thing can do things you don't like and still have other things that are good about it. And I do overall like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's just not my favorite of that set. And part of it does have to do with some of those choices and tropes it decides to lean into. Because to me, it undercuts and undermines a lot of the other work it's doing that is good. But yeah. To walk it back a little bit, I do like to. You give the 14-year-old his harem, and I roll my eyes. It's an impossible reaction.
I mean, like, you're not like I get what you're saying. You're not wrong with the harem shit. It's just like I guess I'm just able to look past it.
Sure.
Like Pyra and Mithra. Pyra is a tragic character.
Yeah.
Tragic character.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't remember his name right now, but like the main villain that is, you end up being sympathetic with. Yeah, Jin. His whole arc is fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is part of why, even though I dislike the way they pace it, I really enjoy Torna a lot, because Torna feels like it downplays a lot of the shonen aspects of 2, while being in the same setting, and has a lot of the setup and introduces more of like Jin's backstory. And like I ended up loving Torna a lot more than I love mainline 2. For other reasons too, I like the combat more. I think it streamlines itself better, not having the blade system, or in the sense where you're getting random blades and equip them and that kind of thing. But that's definitely a large part.
I like Torna a lot too, and I think that like Torna helped it very much gave the backstory of Mithra that I needed. Because the first time I played Xenoblade Chronicles, I was like, fuck Mithra. fuck this bitch.
Right.
And then I played Torna, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, and also the fact that Pyra is literally a trauma response and only exists because of...
Yes, she's literally a creation of Mithra's trauma, which is crazy. Yes, but cool. That was our Xenoblade Chronicles 2 tangent. What next?
So that's the thing I dislike, is shonen. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's fine. Like, I get it. I was just able to look past it. I was like, yeah, okay, titties and girls falling for Rex. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what happens for me in those is that I'm cool with those things existing as well. I would just rather them be in a thing where that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be TNA, be TNA. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to also tell me, like, oh, but then this is also this epic heartstring story with this going on. It's like, guys, like, pick one. Pick a path. What are we doing here?
I really don't even, even then, though, I don't think they really, push that narrative until especially until much later in the game.
Yeah, it's a thing where you're like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do. Oh, they're doing that.
Yeah. I really need to play Future Redeemed. I really need to play. I want to know more. I don't think we learned more about the whole amorous
polycule. Yeah,
the polycule, but that is, and I don't think Monolith Soft has commented on that at all since the game has come out.
So, I mean, I guess this is spoilers that we're talking about that's a thing. But I remember when that initially leaked, like the photo.
People didn't think it was real. They were like,
I thought it was someone's fan art or something. Like, oh, that's really stupid. And then when I found it was real later, and I like 3 so much, but 3 is the one that canonizes that shit, even beyond what 2 did, and it's so funny.
Yeah, what was the director's name again? For
of Xenoblade, in general?
Of Xenoblade, yeah. Xenosaga?
It's I'm blanking.
But anyway,
right
director was just
Takahashi.
Yeah, Takahashi was just we either don't let any of
we don't give an answer, or we give it to everyone.
Yeah. It's either we canonize everyone or we canonize no one, and they decided to go the everyone route. Which, okay, listen, I'm not, no judgment here. They're living the lives they want to live.
Oh yeah, no, none of this has to do with me having a problem with polyamorism.
It's just
I have a problem with harem writing.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess. For me, it was just they did this, which is, especially being in a Japanese role-playing game, a Nintendo game. It's a
Nintendo IP.
Crap. Yeah, a Nintendo IP. It's wow, okay.
Hey man, love is love. Even if it's between a technologically advanced blade being divided into 2 people and a 14-year-old boy. I don't know, man.
And Nia.
It's weird.
Oh well, Nia's also so.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Pyramithra specifically, but anyway,
all of it, all of it.
But
we
no,
got to move on to another thing that bothers us.
I get what you're saying though, because like again, like I really do want to get to this part out of the way. Obviously, you know, I love Trails, and I think that Trails does do some wild fan service as well sometimes. But like there is some like. I don't want to go as far to say it's like a harem, but there is like, oh, here's this MC, here's all these women that like the MC, like
sure
type deal.
Well, and isn't it like starting with Cold Steel? There's like an actual light romance aspect where you can like kind of like have your pick of like who the main character gets with or something. I think I've heard that before.
So in Crossbell, it's Lloyd and like. Like canonically, like it's pretty heavily handed that it's Lloyd and Ellie, but also people like to ship Lloyd with Risha.
Sure.
It's very popular because she's just a very popular series character.
Yeah, but that's because the game doesn't go out of its way to like canonize like, hey, this is officially a couple in universe.
Yeah, but like in general, even in the Crossbell games, like it very much pushes like Lloyd and Ellie.
Sure.
Like it's not like to the point where we see Estelle and Joshua, but yeah. And then in Cold Steel, it's like Reen, and you know what? In general, before like, well, let me finish this thought, and then in general, we need to talk about this.
Okay.
You know, there's like a few of the girls that you can date, but again, the game very much pushes Alyssa, and then like Van is a bit different and a bit weirder in my opinion, because Van, you have Agnes, who is a minor that obviously like has feelings for Van, and then there's Elaine, who is his childhood friend, lifelong friend. They used to date. She still has feelings for him, and like there's like this kind of like divide there.
Sure.
But like Van like just again based off of the game, it's very much either like he may end up back up with Elaine, or he's probably going to end up with nobody and stay single. But kind of like what Mag said on the episode last week, is that Falcom has gotten to this weird point now where they don't want to
step on ships.
Yeah, step on ships, which is stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid. Like you can live in y'all's fantasies. Like let canon relationships be canonized.
Sure.
That being said, how do you feel about romance in JRPGs?
As in
and
like
how
the
mechanics are executed.
The mechanics of romance. I mean, it's extraordinarily shallow 95% of the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like it's usually just like which character do you like, and you do like 4 conversations and pick the obvious yes choice, and then congratulations, you have heart symbols around this character. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's like that base id instinct that's just like, I like this character, so I'm gonna romance them. And like, cool. I think most of the time, especially in JRPGs, like Western RPGs really aren't any better about it. I think they put like a little more effort, but it's still not good. But most JRPGs that have it as a mechanic, like I like romance as like a plot element. I mean, we talked about this during to plug more Campfire catalogs. That was a large part of Lunar, right? Like the first Lunar is love is such a central theme of that game. I mean, the party is made of couples, and I think that's something really great about it. And so romance as a concept, awesome, love it. The idea of mechanically representing your character picking their love interest doesn't really do much for me, and I don't think it's ever really like again, I understand the kind of base impulse fun of it where you go, I pick the one I like, and like cool. I don't think it adds anything to the overall structure of the game, and it's not a reason why I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick this up. That's actually a really big thing about Fire Emblem and the way they've developed the support system, because the support system has been around for a long time. Originally, it was just like a passive thing where, these two characters plot-wise are related or in a relationship, and so they get bonuses for being near each other. Eventually, they turned that into a mechanic where it's like, hey, you can build supports between people. And initially it was specific pairings. It's like this character can support one of these 4 or 5 people, and they have their own little plot arc for why that is. Either because they get romantically involved, or because they're long lost siblings, or they have similar backgrounds they're able to commiserate over, whatever. And then eventually they start trying to do things like let everyone support everyone. And that's where you start getting supports that are like, I like the cut of your jib. C rank achieved. And it's like, all right. And you start getting into, and then it hits, I think, its peak of annoying me where you get into Awakening on, where you get your avatar character, and it's like, hey, you now get to romance the character you want and have kids with them in some of these games. And it's like, cool. I didn't mind when there was romance that made sense for specific characters and it was written specifically for them. I do mind when it's just like, I'm going to play matchmaker and pick the character I want to have be my waifu. And it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, in general, like, I think that there's, like, should be, like, a minimum when it comes to, like, if you're going to implement romance, like, it needs to do at least these things mechanically.
Sure.
Like, I think Persona and Fire Emblem are, like, the best examples of, like, this is the floor here. Like, this is, like...
Minimum.
Yeah, this is the minimum, and even then I would go, like, a step higher, where, like, hey, you have, like, this support, or, you know, these support scenes, right? And you get bonuses for gameplay when you do it. But on top of that, like, I need that shit to matter in the plot somewhere.
Sure.
Like, I need that shit to matter somewhere in the plot. Even if it's, like, a small thing at, like, a very penultimate moment or whatever, like,
Yeah.
I need this to feel like this actually meant something
Yeah.
outside of, like, getting the bonuses for this character for, like,
For
a
sure.
battle or something.
Have you played, I forget what you have and how it played to this franchise. Have you played Symphonia yet?
Tales of Symphonia?
Yeah.
Long time ago, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example of something where, like, they add a relationship system and then it actually does come up at a certain point in the story that's like, this only plays out this way because you're really in this relationship, and, like, that's cool. Like, you acknowledge it in some way beyond just, like, a bonus scene at the ending or an extra line of dialogue.
Yeah. And I, like, Fire Emblem is okay to me because, like, that doesn't go that far, because at least in Awakening, it's because they have kids, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is your reward for is that you have kids, and then you're gonna have, like, these dialogues with your parent to kid and, like, all that stuff that I think is really, really cool. I really, really appreciate that. But yeah, like, certain instances, like again, I don't think Trails does the romance stuff in Cold Steel well. Like, I think it's, like, really pointless. And thankfully, it only happens in the Cold Steel games. They rework things, so it's just, like, general connection stuff in the Daybreak games. But yeah, it's like, and again, like, Expedition 33, like, terrible. Like, why have that in the game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it was.
no, I agree. That was a ill-formed. There's a few things about EX33 where I love the base of it, and then there's a lot of attached systems where I'm like, you didn't need to add this.
Yeah,
Like, you could have just focused on the other things you already had going.
exactly, and it doesn't affect the story in any way based off the choices that you make at the end with Verso, and it's just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
okay, very
No,
odd.
yeah, I do agree that was very poorly done. Like, it depends a little bit too on, like, what you even think they're trying to, like, get out of doing that edition, other than just being like, which of these 2 female characters do you want to see this guy get with? But it's just, yeah.
And then it
It's
happens
weird.
off screen, and then it's never, like, mentioned ever again.
I think some dialogue is slightly different in their, like, support combos, but not in, like, the actual like plot line. Yeah.
Well, if you do CL's romance happens earlier.
Yeah.
Lune's is at the very end.
Right. Yeah.
So with CL, sure, yeah, that's fine.
But Lune, I think the triggers for activating, like, even though the result isn't till later, I think the triggers are earlier, and some conversations in between do play a little differently. Because it's not a choice you make in her final convo. There's a choice you make, like, on the third or fourth one, that'll be the actual like flag.
I don't remember that. I remember
It doesn't signal it at all. Like I only found it out in retrospect. Yeah.
Because I thought it was just like, oh, you have to do her loyalty mission type thing, and then she actually trusts you enough that like.
Nope. There's specific dialogue choices you have to make in earlier conversations for it to actually flag.
Okay, sure. It's just not good. It's just not good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was not executed well. I like that game, and that's one thing that I think it did not do well at all. I agree.
I like the game too, just not as much as you.
Yeah, I like it more than you do.
Yeah. But going back to Trails, genuinely, Kevin, and I know that like this puts a lot of expectations, and I know that those expectations have only like scared you away from Trails, because you're scared that your expectations are not going to be met.
I mean, that and the total runtime investment, but yeah.
That too. I genuinely am curious as to like how you were going to feel about JRPGs as a genre after you play like the first two Trails games. Like,
in the sense of,
for me, I'm in the mindset of just like, why does this game not do this like Trails? Like, because the thing is like, it does a lot of the normal JRPG things, like, but it just does it to a degree where it's just like, how can this small team, this team of 65 people, able to consistently make these really in-depth JRPGs, but then like these bigger studios, regardless of like the type of JRPG that they're really making, as long as it's like, not a tactics game, but if it's like, a more traditional JRPG, like why can't they do this here? If that makes sense. Like, like my expectations for JRPGs fundamentally went up after playing through Trails, because it's just like these guys can do it. Let's have everyone else do it too. And that's like, and I would say like a portion of that is stuff that only Trails can do, or like only like because Trails is trying to achieve a specific thing. But in general, just like the quality of the side quests, the quality of the world building, the quality of like all of these things that I just like never experienced in a JRPG before until I played Trails, because it was, and like how it's just like, it's a little bit unfair, but it's just like, it's hard not to compare other JRPGs to Trails nowadays, because it's just like, they can do this. Like, this is normal stuff.
Right.
This is like normal things. Why can't you do it? And so I'm very curious as to like, once you at the very least finish second chapter, how you kind of like, if you're like kind of in expectations, or like, what like you think that are the kind of bottom line of like what you think like JRPGs should achieve,
right,
has shifted. That's what I'm curious about.
All right. I mean, I have no follow-up for this because it requires me to play a pair of 50-hour games, but like, yes.
Yeah. No, at the end of the year, we're going to have like a topic of the show where we're just talking about like, hey.
That is the new, how
are we feeling?
I did fail this last year. I copped to it entirely. But the fail last year was I did not finish first chapter before first chapter remake happened. I did play it, didn't finish it. The new goal is I'm going to finish first chapter remake before second chapter drops, and I'm going to play through that as well, like ASAP this year.
Yeah.
Unless that month gets absolutely wrecked, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, like now's the perfect time, right?
Well, I got to finish Legend of Dragoon first.
Yeah, there's that too. We
have obligations.
We do have other obligations, and Omori, but Omori's like 20-hour game. Should be able to do that pretty quick.
That's easier.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we talked about a lot of different things that we want or don't want in JRPGs, or what we like and don't like. So we have a bit of a better understanding of our tastes and things like that. You were gonna say something?
I just had a quick thought, and this is a whole other subject within that. That who knows how much longer this episode will be if I do this, if I open this door, depending on how we want to talk about it.
Okay.
Just in general, with like the direction JRPGs have been going with combat options, right? Whether that's like, how are we still feeling on when we see a turn-based game, when we see a mono-character action game calling itself a JRPG still, when you have party-based real-time action games, games that walk that line a bit, which I absolutely hate, like Xenoblade. And I like Xenoblade. I don't like the half and half combat of, tab target, cooldown, focus, whatever.
You don't like the MMO.
Yeah, I would rather just straight up turn-based or straight up action. I don't love when something's like, no, like it's still kind of turn-based because you have cooldowns and you hit the thing when it lights up and positioning still matters. And it's like, cool, just make it an action game or make it a turn-based game. This does nothing for me.
Could not disagree with you more. Xenoblade Combat, I don't know what they put in that. Outside of 1. I don't know what they put in that shit.
Yeah, no, 1 is definitely not a good example.
Yeah, no, but like Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3, and X, I don't know what they put in that shit, but I love it.
I don't outright hate it. Like, I play it and I get, whatever, I can play it. It's not grueling or anything. It's just, if I have my choice, I would absolutely take a pure turn-based or pure action game over that. It is my least ideal situation.
I'm a little conflicted with how JRPGs have been evolving, because I do think there's a few factors. One, we got a lot of big companies saying oh, we're switching to action hybrid because turn-based isn't engaging enough and things like that, and I just fundamentally disagree with that.
Sure.
And on top of that, it's tough, right? Because I just don't know the right way to kind of dive into the topic of the because accessibility isn't purely difficulty, right? Accessibility is there's multiple factors to that, but I think for the general aspects of accessibility for people that aren't directly a part of the disabled community or anything like that, it is kind of this ways to make the game easier. And I think that we've over the years we've also seen a shift there where I do like the push and pull of JRPG combat and how it you do have to strategize, you have to work for your wins a lot, not a lot of the time, but every now and then, even outside of boss fights, that just has started to kind of fade into oblivion, sadly.
Sure.
We do have some instances where that is still present, like the Erdrick trilogy, Octopath, which is great. But when it comes to these more mainstream titles, we're not really seeing that anymore, and that is a trend that I do not like. Even in Trails, one of the things I didn't mention in our Horizon review is that once you understand the systems of the action hybrid, those fights go super fast. And maybe that is by design, and I get that, but when the cycle of a combat is you hit enough enemies to stun someone, you press square to release shards, you boost to EX chain one enemy, and then you go into your S-craft to wipe everyone out, and that is what you do verbatim.
Yeah.
Almost every encounter you do that isn't a boss fight. That's it's satisfying because it's a well-made system, but it's also there's no real tension.
Yeah.
Which I wish that there was a bit more of. That was the things that I actually really liked in Sky, because because in general, from Sky down to Daybreak, I think the games have just naturally gotten easier.
Sure.
And Sky Remake really brought back a bit more of that difficulty. I remember when I played the demo and I was fighting Josette. Josette was an actual push and pull bit more of a challenge than some other bosses that you fight in like the more recent games where it's just like, you know, you have like the mindset that you kind of have in an extended fight in Daybreak through like fight when you're fighting like normal ads, you will probably find an equal amount of success in these boss fights where, you know, you're trying to get their stun up, EX chain, S craft. Like, really the only instances where I had any sort of struggle was when like this boss specifically, a lot of their moves afflicted a specific status ailment that like I didn't have the gear that made myself immune to that, or it prevented that for a large amount. And that's when I'm like, okay, I just gotta like basically die, reset, and then pick the right gear, and then do it again, or just use the items to like to cure myself of that, and then see if I can, you know, hold out. And like that to me isn't like the super engaging combat that I fell in love with the Trails series on. And so like it's, you know, it's tough. I you know, I can understand like from a business standpoint why those decisions are being made. And there's some instances where like it did bring up like one of my favorite combat systems being in the remake trilogy, right? Like the remake combat system is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there, you know, and there are other instances where it's just like, yeah, you know, I just like not really vibing with this. I wish it was a little bit more challenging. I wish that there was a little bit more push and pull to the combat, and yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, difficulty in general is such an awkward line to walk sometimes, especially because I think we have it at a time where, as you mentioned earlier, I think a lot of stuff oftentimes gets framed as accessibility, and sometimes it actually is like thoughtful incorporation in that, and a lot of times it's, oh, we make it more accessible by making it easier. And these are not the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, those are not the same thing. But a lot of times that's the result we end up getting, which I agree is not great. I'm all for options. Like, if you want a game to have a story mode where you just do story mode and everyone has infinite health and you never have to worry about anything, more power to you. It does not bother me. But it is absolutely important to me that like a game's normal, like default assumed difficulty is something that has a difficulty to it. You know, if I want a game to be easy, I'll pick easy. I'll pick story, whatever. But if you're giving me those options, then I want that option to be meaningful. And some of this comes down to different people's, what they're used to. And sure, I might have an easier time with something someone else has difficulty with, but there's absolutely a general shift away from friction that I don't really agree with. I think friction is a great thing. I think friction is one of the things that can really make victories feel a lot more meaningful and interesting in a game. And there are a lot of games where like you don't really get that anymore. And I think some of the major franchises walk the line well enough. Like, they still might be easier than I prefer, but they're not just like a total cakewalk. There's exceptions. And Final Fantasy, the remakes, I think, are a really good example of one where, yeah, they're trying something different. The goal is to have that action element. The goal is to be more engaging, whatever that means to the person saying it. But I think it does walk that line in a way that I personally do find interesting still. And like, there are solutions to problems that make things easier, but you can also tough it out if you want. There are things that can simplify certain encounters, but it's not always going to be a one-time solution. There are interesting choices to which characters you're using and how that impacts the flow of battle. Like, there's a lot that those games are balancing right now that I think is excellent, and we're not really seeing in a lot of other stuff, especially the ones that are making the pivot to action. I mean, even within Square Enix itself, I've talked about this before. I don't care about 16's combat. Like, I think 16's action combat is not great. You have a wash, rinse, repeat combo. You equip your loadout of special moves that you activate on cooldown, and then once an enemy's broken, you do the other set of moves to do as much damage as you can. And it's like, cool. That was fun, I guess. And yeah, so like I'm not like, I know there are some people who are very much like, you know, Final Fantasy specifically is the example that goes back to a lot where they're like, make it turn-based again. Turn-based is the true way. And I'm like, I don't. There's good action games, and there's good ways to incorporate action combat, and action elements have been around as long as like the JRPG genre, at least going back to like SNES era. I mean, we got stuff like Star Ocean and the older Tales games. Action RPGs have existed for quite a while. It's not something that just happened with like the 3D shift and AAA budgets. So I don't have that immediate ick of like, oh, like turn-based is a true JRPG. But I do understand why people kind of want that to come back sometimes and have good examples of doing it better, which we do still have some games doing. Like, there's this whole idea about how we've talked about this a few times where people act like turn-based RPGs have been dead, and it's like Persona games still come out, SMT games still come out, Octopath Traveler, even Square Enix has their franchises they're supporting that are focused on turn-based. It just so happens that their biggest name one that people harken back to has not, and that's like I think leaves a sour taste in some people's mouths. And so I agree with you. Like I guess my main point is that when it comes to just the general direction of things, I think there is a way to. I don't know if chasing trend is the right term, but like there's a way to embrace the concepts of like, oh, we do think, action combat is a viable route. I think you can still make an engaging, good, interesting game that's tactical with that choice. It's just not the way that all of them end up. And I do think that turn-based games are still extremely relevant. Ultimately, the bigger problem is whether or not you incorporate any degree of friction or not to make those combat systems interesting and worth investing time in and mastering. As well as just what steps you take to add a little variety. Because, yeah, like, there are certainly turn-based games that are just like, it's my turn, I do my high damage move, call it a day, maybe heal if I need to. And then there's other ones where you do get that push and pull interesting feeling, whether that's by introducing some kind of break system, some kind of boost system, some way of just adding a little bit of extra thought into the moment-to-moment gameplay beyond just simply, what's the move that's going to do the most hurt right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I just think that we're kind of in a weird space right now, just because like a lot of the major JRPGs are kind of like being created. So I'm very curious as to like what a Final Fantasy 18 looks like, what a what changes or like kind of shifts Persona 6 will have.
Sure.
Because I would even argue that Persona 5 is like notably easier than Persona 3 and 4.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and I think that Reload did follow like 5's trends. Like I'm talking about like the original 3 P3P, like Persona 4 Golden, like those had like a sense of friction that 5 did not have, and like part of that I think was a design choice to make, because that game was all about style, right? And they wanted you to feel cool as the Phantom Thieves, that they were like, hey, we're going to implement these things to make combat easier and make it have more flair and stylish while still being engaging. But that I can't deny that when I play Persona 5, it's just like, boy, I'm just kind of doing the same thing over again, and it's not like, once you kind of like know what this new enemy's weakness is, it's just like, all right, rinse and repeat. Yeah, and to a certain extent it was like that in Persona 3 and 4, but again, there was enough tension going on that I just didn't really think about it as much.
Yeah, I mean, older Persona games are definitely a little more swingier and punishing if you end up having a bad turn and enemies hit the right weakness. I think a large part of it, too, is that 5 Royal specifically, and then 3 Reload by extension, they add more easy methods of being able to, like, get the element you need. Because, like, in 3, it's like you have your party members, and you have your main character who's the wild card. You're not swapping people in. You're not, like, tag, whatever. Like, it's your turn. Do the thing you can do, and hopefully you have something that affects the enemy you're currently fighting. Whereas, like, 3 Reload and 5 Royal, these are mechanics that are very fun, and they feel very, like, satisfying, but they also absolutely annihilate the difficulty, where it's like, I forget what they call it right now, but like the baton pass, such a great feeling to deal tons of damage with it, but you can also do it so consistently. And 3 Reload does the same thing, where they don't call baton pass anymore, but it's like you signal this person to act next, so you can use them to
I forgot what it's called.
Weakness. Yeah. But there's just so many more ways of like guaranteeing your next turn you have the tool you need to like hit a weakness, and that really impacts the momentum in those games. That you can consistently hit weaknesses more often instead of being stuck with like what you brought into combat.
It's called shift. That's all
Shift.
it's called. Yeah, I agree. And so I'm very curious as to that was like the thing that actually that was kind of refreshing about Metaphor, is that Metaphor, like I felt a little bit more of that difficulty come back when you do go into the turn-based stuff. Like if you did do like the squad attack, then yeah, probably not as much. Like that's kind of like the point of it. But when you did have like some of these more proper fights, it's just like, oh, okay, like this is like, it's not like you're gonna defeat these enemies in a single turn. You know, there's going to be a bit more depth to it. So great. No, I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because that's definitely something to talk about, and I am curious about where the future holds with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said before, like most of my favorite combat systems in JRPGs are like real time based. Kingdom Hearts 2, like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, like. But in general, I prefer turn based. Like I do like that more, and it's more consistent for me.
Sure.
And so, alrighty, Kevin, do you have anything for the people before we dip out?
Yeah, 4 more topics I think we need to tackle real quick.
Okay.
No, we're good. It's really funny. I always love when this happens in some episodes where I'll look at the timer and I'm like, yeah, we got through news pretty quick. We didn't really have what we've been playing. We're already on the topic of the show. This is going to be like an hour and a half. And then the right keyword activates one of us. And suddenly it's like, oh, never mind. This is now a 2.5-hour episode. So it goes.
Yeah, no, it's fun. We haven't had like a lengthy discussion in a minute, so
yeah. This year's most have been shorter episodes, so this was a little catch up on that.
yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, you can follow me on socials at CampFinalMix, and you can follow Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode, and until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.